The 49ers are in jeopardy of losing some guys, not players, but coaches and staff. So we've got 2 interviews set up. The first one is, our basically number 2 GM player of personnel, president of personnel, Adam Peters, who's been great. It was funny. I don't remember what city we were in. Maybe it was Minnesota.
Oh,
I'm
yeah, it was
outside for
Minnesota.
our event,
Yeah.
and I'm holding the door open for the 49ers invasion, just helping out as best I can. And then sure enough, I look up and I do a double take, and I'm like, what? And I look up, and sure enough, it's freaking John Lynch and Adam Peters jogging right in front of me. And I was like, hey. And so, like, I went and snapped a picture. I was like, hey, what's up, Lynch? What's up, Peters? And they're like, hey. And then they, like, get away from this psycho. But anyway, he's got an interview today in Miami, of all places, not for the Dolphins, but for the Commanders opening GM position. What are your thoughts on this?
Listen, man, it's well deserved, right? And so, like, I know us as faithful, we don't want to let people go and things like that. But it's the real world. Everybody deserves an upgrade, and if there was no room for him to upgrade here in San Francisco, if the opportunity wasn't here, and there's an opportunity that knocks, you have to respect that he's being respected throughout the league. And I want to see players strive. I mean, and coaches strive just as well. So, we talk about our players go get that money. Well, Adam Peters deserves it too. And we know how he drafts. We know how he evaluates players. We know how he evaluates the later rounds in the draft. And that's a gift. And now we can kind of like see, like, can we keep this up? I kind of want to see if the San Francisco 49ers scouting and drafting continues to stay in the realm that it's been. It went from bad to great, right? And so, was it Adam Peters? Did John Lynch learn anything with Adam Peters here being in the building, even though John Lynch held the title of GM? And you see that they made Adam Peters assistant GM. And so at the day, it's time for him to get that job. And, unless John Lynch retired or moved out or did something, he wasn't going to get it here. So I'm actually happy for Adam Peters. I know a lot of people want him to be here, but listen, if they're gonna hire him, go do your thing, bro.
Yeah, you always celebrate other people's success. I want to keep him. I think Peters is one of the guys in charge of our day 3 drafting success, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. So I want to keep him, but I will say this: if you're getting to go to it's new ownership, it's not the old Washington Commanders and the worst ownership in pro sports. It's new ownership, and they're giving the GM the hire first, which means he would be able to pick his coach. So they're basically saying you can have it all, big dog. And so we'll just kind of have to see what that looks like. I don't want him to leave. I would prefer to win a Super Bowl. John Lynch goes back to broadcasting. Adam Peters steps into the GM role. That's what I want to happen. But hey, man, there's only 32 of these gigs. And Adam Peters has declined interviews in the past. And we've kind of seen that. That's the mold. The first time they get offered interviews, they go interview, then they decline it. The second time, the second offseason, they take it. That's kind of the way that it goes. What's
That's
up,
just the
Paul
way
Hope?
it is.
Appreciate you, man.
What's good, brother Paul?
He's the absolute best, man. I love it. Now, also Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks getting head coaching consideration.
Listen, same freaking sentiments, right? Look, everybody, thought that Steve Wilks wasn't going to be able to come in here and do what the Miko Ryans did and keep that up. And he actually finished with a better defense. They had more interceptions than they had the year D'Amico Ryans was here, and they finished what, 8th in turnovers. They didn't get a lot of forced fumbles, a lot of teams, but they finished tied for first in interceptions, right? 22 interceptions on the season. They were out there balling. They did exactly what he said he wanted them to do: limit explosive plays and create turnovers, and he did that. And I mean, we knew getting him that he had the ability to be a head coach in the NFL. And so when he comes in, and you can say he took the stack defense, okay, and made it work, but he had a lot of young players on this defense that he had to get right. And I don't want to see him go because I don't think that young secondary is all the way polished. I want one more year of him like doing that. But listen, if he gets the opportunity to become a head coach again, you gotta push him. You gotta accept it, and you gotta be happy for the man because he should have got the head coaching opportunity in Carolina.
They kicking themselves now.
Talk about it. He should have got that opportunity. And the one thing we know is that the players love him. And so I love him as well. So if he happens to become the head coach of a new team, congratulations to Steve Wilks as well.
Yeah, he deserves it. Now, Gammon, shout out to Gammon in the super chat. He says, "What are your opinions on the NFL diversity and hiring incentives? Are they effective? Has the on-field quality improved?" I'll say this. So, one thing, if Steve Wilks did get hired this year, the 49ers would not be receiving compensation picks, which they've received more than any other franchise out there because all of their guys keep getting hired. We have lost 3 head coaches that went on to take head coaches, Sala, McDaniel, D'Amico, and we've lost 1 general manager, Martin Mayhew. So that's 4 top tier. That doesn't count all the assistants and whatever else. And for those of you who don't know, if a minority hire leaves your program and takes the head coaching job or the number 1 personnel job, aka GM, then the team that lost that person would receive 2 third-round picks, compensation picks. So I'll say this. Number 1, the 49ers have dominated this. Number 2, Kyle Shanahan had all those people in place, not Steve Wilks. He just came over last year. All of them in place before the incentive was ever even created. Like, he didn't hire them for this incentive. And so I think what it has done is it has created a place for people to promote from within and to look at minority hires within a better light. I don't think that this created a better platform for them to be hired as the head coach GM. I think it created a better platform for them to get promoted up into places of play callers, coordinators, and I think that's huge. Who's losing out here? I don't see a victim or a loss, so I think it's worked out really well. What do you think, Wayne?
Well, I think I like the incentive because no one loses out. It's a win-win, right? And so you look at it like if you hire a minority coach and they stand out and they do very well, the incentive is, hey man, it's unfortunate we're going to lose you, but guess what? We get compensation picks, right? And so like compensatory picks, right? And so like that's a win-win for every organization. It's not just for the San Francisco 49ers, it's for all the 32 teams in the NFL. It just so happens that there's not a head coach or general manager in the league that can take a rule or incentive and literally stretch that mother trucker out all the way, squeeze it out, get every ounce of what they want to get out. It just so happens that they were really good at that. That's being really good at your job. It's almost like being a defense attorney,
Yeah.
and knowing your client effed up, but your job ain't to prove that they effed up. Your job is to prove that you can find some type of loophole in the law and get them free, whatever it is. I think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch do a really good job, not just in this incentive program, but think about all the different things that they do. When you bring these two in here and they change the entire culture of a team, we went from having all these bad boys and guys getting arrested to almost going down that same trajectory with a couple of players that we drafted early, but that's flipped. And then when you look at this particular rule that's been set by the NFL, it's not like the 49ers said it, but the NFL set this incentive rule for minorities. It's just that the 49ers keep churning over great coaches. And so they're going to take advantage of it because they know that those coaches that they hire, for one, are going to be good. They're going to end up doing well in this particular organization. And then they get another opportunity to be a head coach. That's just great. It's a win-win. I don't look at it in any negative way.
I don't know how anybody could see it in a negative. It's only positive. And shout out to Nigel. I misspoke. I said we lost 1 person that became a GM and Martin Mayhew. No, 2. Ron Carthon. I missed Tennessee. That is a mistake on me, and I apologize. Thank you. Always, always, always call me out. I freaking love that. And I really hope, I do really hope we get to keep him. I do, not because I want the compensation pick, but because I love Wilks.
Yeah. And I want to see what he does in year 2, a second year in the draft. Okay. Like, I want to see what it's going to be like.
Man, that's just me. He's finally good.
Like they're like everyone though. Like, and then you get Talanoa Hufanga back next year. He'll be on his contract year, and Steve Wilks. That's why he was brought here in the first place. I don't know. I'm being petty. I don't want him to go anywhere, but he's going to be offered. If he's going to be offered a job, congratulations.
the 49ers Rush Podcast.